Here's the secret. Do you want to know the secret about how most countries operate? They don't care. You're this, you're that. I mean, imagine you're a border guard. You're doing the immigration. People come through. There's a line. People are waiting. Everyone's coming through. You see all kinds of different passports. Are you sitting there? Oh, look at this guy. He's not. No.
You've been outspoken about having multiple passports and the need for a passport portfolio.
Yeah.
Why is that? And is that a natural extension of renouncing?
Well, the passport portfolio. I mean, number one thing I've mentioned to someone to a government worker before. Why do you have these passports? Is it's what I geek out on. I don't buy into this concept that citizenship is some like sacrosanct, thing. Like it can't be sold. Like we have to. I don't buy into that personally. And so for me, it is just fun. I mean, at a certain point, diversification. I mean, it's nice to be diversified. I'm a big believer in diversification. And so the answer to your question from kind of a former U.S. citizen standpoint is, the U.S. passport as a travel document is a very good travel document. And so by having several passports now, I'm able to replicate the travel by combining those passports to pretty much everywhere except for, 4 or 5, key countries. By the way, almost none of which I was visiting as a U.S. citizen anyway. I mean, I think we have a lot of Canadian and Australian clients. I spent, a mere matter of days in my U.S. expat time with a U.S. passport going to those countries. Just nothing wrong with them. They just didn't personally interest me. And so, I think having a passport portfolio helps to replicate the travel abilities. I also think, if you're thinking, I don't want to be a U.S. citizen, obviously there's geopolitical stuff with the U.S. passport. There's a lot of different, risks with being a citizen of any one country. And so I still like having the flexibility of being a citizen of different countries. And as I mentioned, at this point, I feel like I'm pretty well, practically covered. I think I have plenty of diversification. But number one, it's fun. It's fun for me. There's certain countries where you go and you practically make money becoming a citizen. You make an investment, and it's like a profitable process. I mean, so if I were making an investment in that country anyway, as a good investment, like why not take the free passport? What I'm really doing now is looking at a passport portfolio as growing a passport, growing mine in terms of places that I would like to live in the future. I haven't really put that much focus into it. Up until now, I'd like to have several passports of places where, I know that I'm a citizen and I'm always welcome. And, for me, I guess that kind of craving, as much as I don't buy into the idea of nationality, there is kind of a craving for identity. I see people around, they're proudly this or proudly that. I'd like to find an identity that I really enjoy, not because it was just given to me, but because I adopt it intentionally. There's a part of that interests me as well, if we're being honest.
What problems have you encountered since you renounced?
Few, if any. I think the biggest thing that U.S. citizens think will be an issue, and it really kind of puts them off in a sense, it's maybe a stumbling block for them in this process, is the visa process. Having a passport portfolio, I need fewer visas. I know a number of people who have just renounced being, Dominican or, one of these citizenship by investments. They buy it, they renounce, they're done. They need a few more visas. The visa process is not difficult at all. In case, I'm kind of a visa policy wonk. I geek out on it. It's not so bad to go to an embassy because for most countries in the world, you go to an embassy, you take a bank statement, stamp, boom, boom, done. Far easier than the paperwork of, keeping spreadsheets of, which bank account had which and all that. So I really haven't had any problems. I guess maybe the confusion that's existed is that sometimes you'll go to a country and, in all your other passports, it says, born in USA, and they'll look at it. Or some countries, they'll scan your passport and like all of your other passports come up. Like some countries, like, oh, you have 3 passports. And sometimes they'll say, oh, where's your U.S. passport? To which my response is, what do you care? This passport also works. But then they'll say, but you have I see it's valid. One guy said, I can see it's still valid. I said, well, if valid means being on the shredder at the State Department of Washington is still valid, then by all means it's still valid. I think for those people we mentioned in some of these emerging countries, the idea of canceling, as they would call it, your U.S. citizenship is like hold me, Jesus. Like who would do that, right? But I think that's been the biggest challenge, quote unquote, is having to stand in a 5-minute line occasionally, or having to explain to someone why I don't have this.
How has life changed for the better?
For all the reasons discussed, right? I just think now it's life. I think that's the big lesson I would tell somebody. It's an emotional process, I understand. Here's how I look at it, right? I think a lot of people look at the process of renunciation as like, you're here, and it's like, once you do it, it's all downhill from there. Your life is impossible. It's difficult. Like, you have all these restrictions. I look at it as I felt restricted as a U.S. citizen. It was difficult for a moment. It was frustrating. It was like a whole process. It was like, in December of 2017 or whatever, like I had other things I could have been doing, but I put this as a priority because I felt it was the time. For me, it was down for a brief period, and then it was back up, and now it's like I'm back to normal. Again, listen, for me, having a lot of things to comply with was stressful. Because I take it seriously. I take, hey, you want to know every single bank account I have? I think that's dumb, but you know what? Again, as I said, success tax, I'm taking it seriously. And there was a time when it's like, bankers in other countries wouldn't understand that requirement, and they'd be like, oh, we just opened 7 new accounts for you, or something. And then having to keep track of that was stress, because I wanted to be very compliant. And again, that's not a matter of paying; it's an issue of paperwork. I don't know if that life is better. I just think that it's better, I guess, in the regards of I feel more free. But I just think life is life, and it shouldn't be an issue where it's like there was, it's not like before and after. It's not like BC and AD. It's not that. It's just you have a little blip, and then you're back to your normal life, just as a different nationality.
Do you feel that other countries treat you differently now without the U.S. passport?
This is a concern, and it's a concern. I've had some friends who are, who've kind of said, "Oh, like I can wave my U.S. passport around." I don't. What year do we live in? This is not. We're not in the Cold War anymore. All kinds of different passports. Are you sitting there? Oh, look at this guy. He's not. No. Obviously, again, there's a few countries I can't go to. There's also a few countries that I can go to now that I couldn't go to before. No, I don't think anyone. I think that there are 3 types of countries in the world. There are a small group of countries that are judgmental, namely countries in the Anglo world where you go and they ask you a lot of questions. And I do kind of think that maybe while they don't really act on it, I remember I went to one place and it's like he was asking me a series of questions like, okay, you're this, you're that. Oh, you're born in the U.S., but you're not American. It's like I wonder. He's like. He probably has some kind of judgmental profile in his head of like, I know what kind of guy this is. And that's fine, whatever. Just stamp the thing. There's judgmental countries, not many of those. There's countries that don't care, and then occasionally there's the person who's confused, or the country that's confused. There's certain countries where more people are confused. But the vast majority of the world, they don't care. They really don't. Newsflash, the world does not revolve around the United States. It is a country in the world. It's a wealthy country. It's a country with a good passport. I haven't seen anything, and nobody I know who's also renounced has seen any difference. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.